So can anyone tell me more about the process of making snow globes?
Well, we picked up figurines and we glued them to like the top.
Okay,
The
what
jar.
else? What materials did we use apart from the figurines and the jars?
Oil.
Baby oil. Okay.
And water.
And
How do they make
glitter.
baby oil? Super cool.
And what else?
Glitter.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Hey. And
I'll buy that.
what else?
Okay, good. Sounds like you guys learned. Do you guys think you can do a snow globe by yourself now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Heck yes.
Sounds like you guys learned it.
Do you think you guys can teach, your younger brothers and sisters or cousins how to make a snow globe?
They listen.
What about the God's Eye?
The God's Eye, what do you guys remember about the God's Eye? That was our first project. The first project with the string.
It comes from Zacatecas.
Jalisco.
Perdón.
Jalisco.
Jalisco, Mexico. And what
Close
did-
enough.
Yeah, it's right there.
What was the actual little meaning of the God's Eye? Like, what was the process?
The life of
God is looking at you.
Well, what does the middle part mean? And then usually, normally with 5 different types
the
of...
years
Birth,
of since birth or something like that.
earth, water, fire,
Oh, the 4 points are the...
Good. Good job. Paying attention.
show up.
Oh, we'll get them after this.
He's watching lunch, fool.
Are you guys happy with your projects?
I like this one.
That one looks beautiful.
Thank you. But his looks better.
If you'd like to improve on your projects, or if you'd like to make another one, feel free to stay after and we can make another one. We have enough supplies.
What are these for?
Yeah,
Those are
Well,
pencils.
those were for, like, if you wanted to, like, for example, cover this top, you could take construction paper and then just cover the top. But that was just an idea.
Okay.
Yeah. it's
Oh.
Put our
optional.
names at the bottom.
Yeah, you can do that. Put your name on it.
So I can't add glitter. That's it.
It's sealed. Sorry.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much. Feel free to hang out, get to know this group a little bit better. Find on Facebook. No, I'm kidding. Okay, thank you guys.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Juana, and I am a DD preschool teacher for Central Elementary School in Las Cruces, New Mexico. All my children have autism, and prior to this, I also was a teacher for Globe Unified School District number 1, and there I taught accelerated and gifted kids 3rd through 5th grade. To begin the evaluation process, what we're going to be doing is the reflective process. So I'm going to be asking the students some open-ended questions in regards to what just happened and what they feel that went well and successful, and what they would like to change for the next time or the next lesson. So the first question that I'm going to ask you is, what do you feel went well in this lesson, in both of them?
I think that what went really well is that we actually had all the students complete the lesson with little or no difficulties. Well, they throughout the lesson they needed a little bit of a reinforcement and guidance, but overall I think they were successful in completing the goal.
Okay, very good. What do you feel could have gone better in your lessons?
Being more prepared.
Yeah, I guess being more prepared
How so?
for being more prepared for the ambiguity of the second lesson. I believe maybe the second lesson was a little bit too ambiguous, so maybe we should have maybe measured things out, or thought of a better way of making it less ambiguous and more straightforward, and maybe add more of a academic type of learning to it.
Okay. How do you think that you would have gone about preparing that either with students in the room or with students out of the room? How would you have done that in a real life situation?
Preparing for, you mean, for the...
Getting rid of the ambiguousness like you were talking about.
Well, I think if this lesson were taught to maybe elementary school children, we would definitely have things measured out as far as the water, the baby oil, so we wouldn't have to be kind of telling them add more, add less. Everything would be measured out in cups, so it would have been easier for them in that sense.
Okay. Okay, good. Tell me about your classroom management style in these two lessons. How did you feel about that?
I think overall we did a pretty good job with classroom management. I think the only issue we had was maybe knowing how to better deal with students that are a little bit more outspoken, that have a lot more questions, maybe a little bit more. We should have maybe given it more thought how we would respond to such students, because I think we were left kind of like, oh, how do we respond to that? So I think we should have thought about that. Thought about things not going especially as planned, and having students that are maybe more outspoken than usual.
Well, if I can give you a little bit of feedback within with some of those questions, this is what happened, what the question was from the student, and how the response was, and my opinion upon that. Is that okay? Sure. Okay. In the first lesson, there was a student that asked, what happens if I eat this glue? And the question was ignored. And the behavior was done. He didn't try and eat glue, which is great. I think that depending upon what you know about that child, depends upon what you do. Sometimes you do ignore it, sometimes you don't. If you really think that that child is going to eat glue, then yes, you're probably going to be redirecting them. But I think that you made a really great professional judgment, knowing he's really not going to try and eat this glue. So that was something that was really great. Another thing that he asked is, what happened in the first lesson, what happens if I run out of wood to tie the yarn on? And with Christina, I thought it was a really great answer that you gave the student, because you remained serious. And you also recognize that it could be a silly question that he's asking because there was some giggling, but it could also be a very relevant question. What does happen if you run out of wood? So you remained very professional, and you said, this is what you're going to do. You're just going to stop. So that was a great redirection. Another couple of redirections that I saw that was really great was when you said, okay, at the very beginning, we're now done with the hardest part. This was the hardest part. Now we're going to repeat the same process, and it's going to be easier. Something that you might want to try next time is already have that in mind about when you're setting up the lesson and you're explaining what you're going to do. Okay, this is what's going to be the hardest part, and just bear with me. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to be getting through it. And then remind them again, reassure them. But it really played out very well, the way that it occurred during the project. Also, when questions were asked from students to give visualizations and their own way of thinking, one of the students said, so it's like crossing the yarn, and one of you reassured him and said, yes, it's like crossing, and you were able to share that with the rest of the group. So that was another really good strong point within your lesson. Also, when the lesson with the God's Eye was almost complete and there was leftover string, there was really great redirection with the students where you told them, okay, now you're going to wait. One question that I have for you that is actually a side thought is, and you can take your time answering this, is the waiting game. There were moments in both lessons where children had to wait, or the students had to wait. How do you think that you're going to be handling the waiting in the future? Is that going to be a problem? Is that a good thing? How do you feel about that?
I think that it can be a problem if the wait time is, I would say, more than 5 minutes. I think that can be a problem, because then you're going to have students, you know, doing something completely off. You can't, I don't think that students should be waiting more than 5 minutes for others, you know, because it will just lead to the ones that are done doing something else, waiting for the ones that, but I think that as far as, you know, if it's a 1 minute, 2 minute wait time, I don't think it'll be an issue. You can kind of keep them, you know, focused, kind of talking to them and, you know, reminding them that these people are almost done and that, you know, you'll be moving on shortly to the next step.
Exactly.
I think for a minute or two, that'll be fine.
Exactly. I think that that's a great idea. I think you really kind of nailed it on the head when you said, you know, 1-2 minute tops, that's kind of where you need to leave it at. One idea that you can also do to eliminate the wait time, because sometimes it's inevitable. There are going to be children that need to catch it up, and that you may need to give them an extra 10 minutes, especially in a whole group activity like that, where everybody needs to stay together. It's almost like kind of gathering cats, you know, it's a very hard process. So you can have some other things like already set out, like in baskets and buckets, like books, picture books that are relevant to your lesson, and say, okay, we're going to get out our God's Eye books again. We're going to be looking at our God's Eye because that was one of your assessment pieces at the end. This is information that is relevant for you to know. So that's another idea that you could do. Very good. I also noticed a transitionary period from the first lesson to the second. There was a student who was asking a lot of questions in the beginning of the first lesson. And in the second lesson, he asked substantially more questions, but the tone seemed to get a lot more silly. Did that feel the same to you? How did that feel to you?
Well, I think I have to agree with you.
Okay.
I think that was just due to the personality of the student. Maybe he was nervous because we were doing this lesson, and, you know, maybe he wasn't. It was a way of him trying to, like, break the ice, or, you know, something like that. But as far, well, that's pretty much what I think. I think that if it were in a classroom setting and you have a student like that, you have that student in class every day, that's something that you would probably have to work on. Because, you know, having that behavior every day, that's something that you would definitely have to, I guess, work at with the student and trying to get rid of that behavior.
Exactly. So what kind of accommodations do you think that you could make with that student if that's what it's like for him every single day?
Well, I guess you just have to learn with time and experience. You just have to learn how to calm, not calm the student down, but I guess it would just take, you know, you getting to know the student. Once you get to know the student, you will know what things will get you to that point where they will stop that behavior. So I guess it's just a point of individual.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing might stop one student and one thing might not stop another, so it just depends, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think that you're really in the good pathway of kind of knowing that. And another thing that you can do is if you're having like a bulk of lessons like that, you can kind of get them up, get them moving. Okay, my friends, you know, or boys and girls, depending upon the age level that you're working with, depends on how you address them. We're going to get up and we're going to go take a walk. Because sometimes they do kind of need those motor things, and the silliness could be just stemming from, hey, I need to get up out of my seat, but I don't really know how to communicate that, so now I'm just going to be silly. Exactly as you said, knowing your student.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
although the tone did get a little bit more silly at the second lesson, and I don't think that it was necessarily anybody's fault. I think that that's just kind of human nature. and it cut off at a really good time. I'm kind of almost picturing worst case scenario though. Imagine if the behavior continued on and now others are kind of engaging with him. How do you think you would stop that?
Oh gosh, I think that would make it much more difficult, because now it just wouldn't be an individual. You would have a group of people doing it. I think the main thing with that is you have to kind of, you as a teacher, you kind of have to set a tone where you want the students to know that they have to respect you, but then again, you don't want to be so harsh that they don't even want to come near you. So I think that's just a sense of having the students know, like, okay, you know that, you know, you have to be respectful to me, because once the group thing starts like that, they're not being respectful anymore. So that's just how the teacher presents themselves. I think they need to be, what is it called, like, sure of themselves.
Yes.
Because if they're not, the students, I'm pretty sure, can read this teacher, you know, is nervous or she's not sure of herself. It's going to be easy to just take advantage. So I think you need to stay on top of things and just let the students know that you're in control, but not in a mean way.
Exactly, and I think that you did it really well in regards to, it was a good kind of finishing point. And if you need to, be prepared to kind of stop the lesson even if you're halfway in between it, and move on to something else if it starts getting a little out of control. In this situation, it kind of just naturally happened that way, and then you can say, okay, you know what, we're done for right now. We're going to put our things away, and then we're going to get out our books of whatever we're reading. The last thing that I wanted to cover was the only thing that I could offer you, because I think that you really did hit on it, all of it yourself, right now with your answers, is you might want to consider also literature connections with both of the lessons, with both the God's Eye and the water globes. You could be reading picture books, and this is where it connects with not only literature but also with culture, depending upon what academic objective you're trying to achieve. That can be the one that really kind of fulfills it and make it an amazing lesson.
Okay.
So you did really well with explaining the clarity to the students, keeping everybody online, and this is where we're going, and also offering that guidance and that feedback. So, great lessons.
Okay, well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.